Hey guys, it's the Gimbish Glob here, and I don't know if you know what movies are, but I like them. And in fact, there was this one movie I saw recently called One Battle After Another, and it was good. But not everyone thought it was good. You know, people have different opinions. So I want to listen to an opinion of one Ben Shapiro, of what he thought about this movie. Now Ben Shapiro, now I respect this guy a lot. Now he's a real upstanding. I'm sure we all agree that Ben Shapiro is a real upstanding guy. And I want to just hear him out of what he thinks about this movie. I liked it, and maybe he had some other opinion. I wonder if he liked it, really. All that was a joke, obviously. Not a big fan of the guy. And I have seen a couple clips from this review. It seems hilarious, and I wanted to talk about it. Because this is actually a movie I liked quite a bit. And I am willing to, hear takes from people who disagree, so why not one that I'm sure will be pretty funny. Plus, it's like a 12-minute review, so it's going to be short. Let's hear what this guy has to say. It's such a low quality. Oh, by the way, look in the comments. No one likes this. And that happened before with the goddamn Luigi Mangione shit. Does anyone comment on this guy's videos and likes them? I don't know. I mean, 171,000 views, 5.2 thousand likes. That's not great. But, my videos don't get a lot of likes either, so, who's to judge? I've been talking for too long. Let's hear what this guy has to say.
Alrighty, folks, today we're going to be reviewing the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another, that many in the critical community is saying is the best movie of the year. Nay, the best movie in 5 years, 10 years, maybe in all of human history.
Alright, that's not an yeah, that's an exaggeration. It's probably my favorite movie of the year so far. Granted, I did not see Sinners, so it could change once I see that, which hopefully soon. But it's hard to get around to watching movies. It shouldn't be. It's easy, but it is.
This video is sponsored by our friends at ExpressVPN.
Don't you have like $1 million, dude? Alright. That's pretty clever. He's like trying to recreate the title drop and using the car chase scene, which was a great scene, by the way. I love that. Such a clever climax.
Not good. Do not like. Bad. The direction is top tier because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, meaning it's...
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Not the no good, very bad, rotten movie, but that it was well directed. Obviously you can expect that from Paul Thomas Anderson. It's nice to see that. It's been how many years since fucking There Will Be Blood, and he's still got it, dude. I mean, that movie's better, but he's still showing that he has that craft in him. He got that dog in him, as some people would say.
It's a beautiful looking film. It moves quickly. The music is actually quite good. The score
seems like it likes it.
By Johnny Greenwood, who I'm not sure what else he has done, actually, but I thought that the score was effective. I believe he did There Will Be Blood. So it's kind of a spare but effective score by Johnny Greenwood. The cinematography is beautiful. There's a cart.
He's just complimenting the movie. I guess then it must just be the politics that he disagrees with. That must suck to feel like you have to be like, oh, this movie sucks, even though you clearly like so much of it. But you got to get those views somehow, man.
Car chase scene near the end that is well choreographed. And the movie sucks because the writing's bad. Okay, so
the movie's well directed. All right, it's beautiful. He said it, well paced. Great cinematography, and the climax of the movie is very well choreographed. And it sucks just because the writing. I think that's a bit of a weird judgment. There are movies which have writing that I don't think are particularly great that I still love. Yeah, ever seen The Raid Part 2? That movie's so good, and I don't think there was a moment where I understood what was going on in the story. Or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That movie's writing isn't really much of anything. but it's such a good movie because of all the other stuff like the cinematography. It seems like Ben has a very narrow view on what makes a movie good. To be fair, he was like a failed screenwriter, I think, so maybe that's the only thing he cares about is just the writing. Also, this is a very unflattering thing to pause on, so sorry, Ben.
The premise of the movie, it's based on a Thomas Pynchon novel called Vineland. And when I say based on,
I actually didn't know that before I watched the movie, so I'm glad that he's educating people there. That's a good job on you, Ben.
Loosely related to the basic idea of one battle.
I mean, I knew before watching this video, but not before the. You don't care about that.
No, the basic plot is that you have a person named Ghetto Pat Calhoun, who is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Perfidia Beverly Hills. Again, all of the names here are supposed to be on the nose, sort of slightly surrealistic, but they're not good. Like Perfidia Beverly Hills, because it turns out that she's perfidious. Get it? Like Perfidia. Beverly Hills, because she's too cool for school, and because they actually sing the Beverly Hillbillies.
I don't think that the movie having silly names is necessarily a flaw of it. I mean, you could not like that, but I feel it's as if you're saying like that was unintentional, that they're silly, but that's no, it was not unintentional. Also, he's kind of just describing the plot, so I'm make him speed up just a little bit. I mean,
Song at one point. Anyway, they are leaders of a revolutionary terrorist group called the French 75. And they seem like they're out of time, because they really should be from like the late 1960s, but actually, this part of the movie is supposed to be set some 16 years ago, so like 2008, 2009. The first...
That's not really entirely accurate. The timing of the movie of when it takes place is intentionally obscured. It's not supposed to be easy to pin down, right? It's just... The important part is that there is a time gap, because it's like Leonardo DiCaprio's character falls out of touch. It's kind of like The Incredibles. This movie is actually, when you think about it, kind of similar to The Incredibles, because he gets out of shape and, he was a hero before, but now he's not and needs to get back into it. Except he really doesn't. That's more of his daughter who gets into it. So I guess that's a difference between the two movies. I don't know. I don't want to be like the guy who's only seen Boss Baby. This movie's reminding of Boss Baby, but this movie is a bit similar, My point is, the important part is not exactly when the movie takes place, but rather that in the middle, or rather in between the first and second act, there is a gap, right?
Scene in the movie is them raiding an ICE facility to free illegal immigrants, which turns out to be sort of the running theme here, is that revolutionaries, what they really do is they fight the system in order to allow unchecked migration into the United States. Why? Because they need to defeat white nationalism, white Christian nationalism. That's the basic politics of the film. So, Perfidia Beverly Hills, she breaks into this ICE facility along with her explosive expert boyfriend, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. She's obsessed with revolutionary violence, and also she is wildly sexually promiscuous. And so the opening scene involves her, how shall we put, asking Sean Penn, character, he's the villain,
Yeah.
Colonel Stephen Lockjaw. I kid you not, again, these names are bad.
Again, I don't think it's fair to say, like, as if, like, they may... Again, it's fine to just not like that, but to say, like, oh, do you name him Stephen Lockjaw? What, do you think that's a normal name? No, that's written, like, no. They didn't... When they were making this movie, they weren't like, yeah, let's have his last name be Lockjaw, because that's normal. That's not the point. Is there supposed to be sort of weird... Sean Penn's entire character, by the way, he was like my favorite part of the movie, is supposed to be like this evil fucking cartoon man. He's a parody of a person. That's almost the point of the movie. He's not supposed to be like a relatable guy, right? So having his name be so silly adds to that. It's not... They didn't think that was like a real name. They could have just called him fucking Michael Johnson. They could have done that, but they didn't, and it was intentional.
The opening scene is her asking him to get up, but not like to his feet. And so you get a very long shot of his crotch.
Yeah, you see his boner. Within the first 10 minutes, you see Sean Penn's boner. Well, probably wasn't, actually. But, yeah.
As he is turned on by this radical Black Panther-like terrorist, and so it turns out that he becomes obsessed with her. And so he ends up tracking her down. He lets her go after she agrees to go to a motel and have sex with him. For some reason, she keeps that commitment, which is strange. Anyway, she has like a BDSM relationship with Lockjaw. So she's bombed.
It's not. I think that's what BDSM is. I don't really think that this is an accurate description. They don't. I don't. All right.
Things with Leonardo DiCaprio, and she's getting pregnant by Sean Penn, who's playing this uptight white Christian nationalist who is turned on by black female revolutionaries. Get it? Because white Christian nationalists really, they have a sadomasochistic relationship with black female revolutionaries. In any case, she gets pregnant. There's a shot in the film that you've seen of her very heavily.
It is just sort of. He is just describing the movie and like expecting the reaction to be like, oh, that's dumb, because this is presumably intended for his audience, who I guess, they would think, oh yeah, that is dumb and lame and stupid. So I guess, to be fair, he does have a good understanding of what he needs to do, which is not to make any points, but just to describe it. Though we are only 3 minutes in, he'll probably make some points.
Pregnant, firing off,
and I'm sure they'll all be very good.
What looks like an M4.
That shot was funny. I liked it.
The idea is that she's a true revolutionary, right? The freedom is in her belly. And at one point she says that the gun is for fun, but her genitalia, that is for fighting. She ends up being caught.
Her P word, would you say, Ben?
In the middle of a bank robbery. And she gives up the group in order to go free. And then she is supposed to go into witness protection, and instead she escapes to Mexico. You never see her again for the rest of the movie, so that's just kind of left open. Anyway, fast forward 16 years. Her husband, Ghetto Pat Calhoun, calls himself Bob, and he's a loser who smokes weed all day. And he is raising the person he thinks is their daughter, but who is actually the daughter of this white nationalist colonel. They are living in a sanctuary city called Backton Cross, and Willa, his daughter, this is the daughter, she is a spirited teenager who, as it turns out, is into revolution.
I think this was part of the review that I had seen beforehand.
Violence along with some of her gender non-binary blue-haired friends. And there are a couple of jokes here at the expense of the gender non-binary blue-haired friends, but mostly at the expense.
They aren't at the expense of the character. They're jokes about the character. That's not the same thing. The only thing, I guess, that you consider to be at their expense is not really a joke. It's just how they decide to make them look. Which is a very cartoonish depiction of them. I don't know, maybe Ben liked that. But it's not like the jokes they make, and he'll explain this later, they're more at to demonstrate that Leo is out of touch, right? That he's not necessarily with the times, that it's been 16 years. And, once he was fucking, like, the coolest guy ever, but now he's like, he doesn't even know what's going on. He's smokes weed all day. He's kind of out of shape. That's the point of the joke. It's less to be comedic and more to illustrate what's going on with the character. Without giving unnecessary exposition. It's good, is my point.
Expense of out-of-touch old Bob, who doesn't understand why somebody would be gender non-binary. And there are a couple of humorous moments where Bob, again Leonardo DiCaprio, he is trying to call into the revolutionary group, because what happens is...
Yeah, that joke is funny.
He's trying to join a white nationalist group, a white Christian nationalist group called the Christmas Adventurers Club. I know, this is so stupid. The whole thing's
It's so stupid. It's such a stupid name. Ben, that's the point. They're making fun of these... Ben, the fact that the white nationalist group is called the Christmas Adventurers Club, they're meant to be silly and embarrassing. It's making fun of white nationalists, essentially, by depicting them as these ridiculous, like, cartoon, like, they say Hail Saint Nick. Like, it's very clearly meant to characterize them as embarrassing cartoon people, essentially. I keep on using like oh, he's like a cartoon that is what this movie is doing, and it's not like, and it's very clearly intentional. It's not like, oh, they aren't characterizing, they aren't making these people realistic enough. It is very clearly the Paul Thomas Anderson trying to make a point about like who these people are, and I think that it was extremely effective.
The movie is so dumb. Okay, and they decide they're not going to let him in because he might have a black daughter. And so he decides he's going to track down the black daughter and kill her so he can get in.
That's not. No, it's not. They decide that they won't let him in. It's they let him in and then find that out, and then they're planning on killing him. He's in the club and is trying to fight, essentially to stay in it by either by finding out whether that's his daughter, and if it is, sending her to be executed. And they, they find out that he is a mixed race daughter, and then they, like, there's the scene where the fucking guy drives up beside him and shoots him in the neck. It's a pretty important part of the movie. I don't know how you missed it.
Into the white Christian nationalist club. As one would, he decides to lead a raid on Bacton Cross, the sanctuary city, to track down, in reality, his daughter. Meanwhile, Bob is looking for his daughter, and in order to find his daughter, he ends up teaming up with Benicio del Toro, who plays a karate teacher and community leader named Sergio St. Carlos, who's a sensei, and who, again, is funny in a sort of oddball, kind of Wes Anderson kind of way. Everything Benicio del Toro plays now is like too cute by half. So anyway.
I liked Benicio del Toro's performance in the movie. I thought it was great. My favorite one was Sean Penn. He was my favorite performance, but Benicio del Toro was also amazing in the movie.
He's the leader of an underground railroad for illegal immigrants who are all staying in this facility
Immigrants?
nearby, and who are also engaged with skateboarding terrorists straight out of the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. And he's the big hero.
Yeah, he's gonna complain about this movie, like, oh, it's trying to shove left-wing, woke, communist, whatever, like, word he'll use to describe it, politics down my throat. But I mean, he is severely stretching here. Like, I don't think that when they were having those guys be on skateboards, they were like, yeah, this is we're trying to call back to Kyle Rittenhouse. That's so it's a pretty big stretch, Ben.
Is Benicio del Toro. He's going to help out Bob, but also help out the illegal immigrants while this raid is going on. Okay, we'll get to more of this in just a moment. First, it's often said freedom isn't free, and that's true. Freedom has to be defended. But what isn't said enough is that online freedom isn't free either. It too has to be defended, not by military force, but by a certain technological force, encryption. Strong encryption can protect your privacy.
Hell yeah, it's ExpressVPN. You don't... I'm sorry, Ben. I don't want to assume how wealthy you are, but I would assume very. You don't need fucking ExpressVPN money, dude. I think you're covered. Anyway, make sure to check out ExpressVPN, I guess, and use whatever Ben's code is. They are like codes, like you use it. I don't know. I've never used one of these VPNs. Maybe I should. Maybe they are good. Alright, remember that, Ben YT. Alright, guys?
Hey guys, did you know some drivers are ditching their car insurance and they're doing...
They are?
Instead?
Time. Colonel Stephen Lockjaw, who's with the daughter, decides that he can't kill the daughter himself. Apparently that is beyond his scruples. And so he decides that he is going to hand her off to a Native American bounty hunter named Avanti Q. So Avanti Q, who's this Native American murderer, but says he won't kill the daughter. So Stephen Lockjaw says to him, I want you to take the daughter to, wait for it, another white nationalist group like bikers, and they will kill her. And the Native American's like, totally fine. So cool. So he puts her in the back of the car, he drives her there, he gives her up. But don't worry. For all of those who are worried that there might be a person of color in this film who's on the wrong side, no. He ends up turning on the white nationalists when he realizes that the white nationalists are bad people about to kill the black girl.
When he realizes that, like he didn't know it before. Feels like a mischaracterization of the movie. The point wasn't that, like, if someone who's not white couldn't be bad. That's very clearly not what the movie is doing. They at multiple points criticized the mom of the main girl of Leo's daughter, right? Leo's adopted daughter, I guess you would call it. And with the Native American character, the point isn't like, oh, he's actually a great guy. You thought he was bad, but he's good. No, it's that when he's giving the girl off to the, like, biker white supremacist, it like creates this conflict within him, right? And it's not necessarily about, oh, he's so good. It's like, oh, he's like realizing, I'm doing all these work for these people, and they, like, they'll hire me, they'll give me money for me to essentially send this black girl to die, right? But they don't really see me as human, right? And it's sort of a commentary on, like, he's trying to appeal to them, but they'll never really like him. They'll hate him, right? It's not, the moral isn't, this guy's great, It's completely different than that.
They could have realized that in the car and not dropped her off. But instead, he ends up dying heroically in order to save her by killing the entire white nationalist biker group. Okay, and so he dies. She grabs the car. There's a car chase involving another member of the original Christmas Adventurers Club who's trying to track her down and kill her in order to cover up, I guess, for the fact that Stephen Lockjaw has a biracial daughter. And so the Christmas Adventurers Club guy kills Stephen Lockjaw, sort of, but not quite. He shoots him in the face, but he lives. And then Leonardo DiCaprio kills that guy and saves his daughter.
Yep. Again, this is more just discussing the events of the movie, but doing like an incredulous face, and then he wants to cover up that he got a mixed race daughter. Yeah, dude, that's the plot. Is this? I didn't find it that confusing,
And that's the whole film. At the very end, Stephen Lockjaw lives, but he goes to the Christmas Adventurers Club, and they effectively euthanize him. They say, we're going to let you in, and they put him in an office, and they gas him to death. And that's the end of the movie, except that you get a tag. And the tag at the end of the movie is, Willa gets a letter. She's had a letter from her mom that her dad's been hiding. And she reads the letter, and the letter doesn't actually tell her to maybe lead a better life than she led, or to abandon these revolutionary idiots who are accomplishing nothing. Instead, the letter says that
well, why would it? Why would the mom go that thing that I spent my whole life doing, and that I've been characterized to care about and not really regret? Fuck that. You want her to not have a character, to just say what you think? Okay. I mean, that would be an interesting movie.
She'd been a better mom, but also she wishes that she had fought the revolution better, and the daughter decides that she too will be a revolutionary. And the end of the movie is Bob, who's now permissive with his daughter, giving her a thumbs up as she goes to perform revolutionary activity. If this sounds like a total mess to you, it's because it is. It is an ideological mess, but it's more than a mess.
It's ideological. Oh my, that's... Can you believe this movie has a point? Yeah, dude, that is fucked up. As if, you couldn't... there was no ideology in There Will Be Blood, which I assume Ben liked. I think he said that. As if... Ben, point out a movie to me that is not ideological, by whatever definition you have. Because for me, off the top of my head, what movies aren't opinionated on the world? I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of anything. Some, Frozen 2? Kids' movies, essentially. And maybe not even all of those.
It's actually quite ideologically bad. The basic suggestion is a conspiracy theory in which the United States is run by white supremacist Christian nationalists, and all people of color and a few nice, incompetent fellow travelers like Bob are going to take on that entire system. And that system must be taken on at the cost of family, at the cost of friendship, at the cost of decency, at the cost of...
I don't know why he's acting like that's the main point of the movie. Right? Even assuming that that what he's saying is exactly a point that the movie's making, which even that is that's not exactly true that the movie's saying. Obviously he's misrepresenting it, he wants to make it sound bad, but the main point isn't that the revolutionaries are they're super good, perfect people. The movie is definitely saying that they're the good guys, I guess, in the conflict between them and the fucking United States government, right? That if any side's good, it's them, right? They're the people that have they're more heroic people on that side, and they're saying that essentially none on the side of the government. But mainly, the point of this movie is about Leo's relationship with his daughter, and Leo feeling like he's grown out of touch with the world. This is a movie about characters. I don't... like most of them, most movies. I don't know why he's acting like the only thing this movie has to say is a political commentary on revolution. Not to imply that this movie is saying nothing about that, but there's more to it than that. And to say that that's the main point is not really accurate.
basic human capacity for success. It is better, in other words, to be a complete loser who wastes your life bombing things randomly in order to free illegal immigrants to run willy-nilly across the border than to be like a productive citizen of that society. At no point is that actually considered by anyone, by the way. Like, just to be a productive citizen of society. Because
That's just, Ben, how about you become a productive member? You spend all your life making fucking YouTube videos and debating college students, or do you not do that anymore? I honestly don't know. I don't keep up with your profession, but I know that you spend most of your time making YouTube videos, right? Which I'm definitely more than I do. So this isn't hypocritical on my part, actually. Maybe it is a little bit, but I mean, if you care so much about being a productive member of society, you know, be a garbage man. I don't know. Why are you doing this then? Or do you genuinely think that your fucking video about one battle after another is making the world a better place? I don't think that about your video. I don't think that about my video. I'm doing this because it's fun. I'm doing this because I like doing it. I don't think you like doing this, Ben. I think you're in this for the money. And not for any, like, improvement to the world. Though maybe you are so deluded that you think that this is good. I honestly don't. I think Ben Shapiro is more cynical than actually insane. Maybe, you know, but a little bit of the second one, but mostly just cynical, doing this for money.
the society, as we know, is run by white Christian nationalists. So in other words, when I've talked about permission structure, I've talked about permission structures for violence that led to, for example, the murder of Charlie Kirk. And what I've said about those permission structures is that they...
This movie killed Charlie Kirk, yeah, that's right. I know he's not saying that, but it is funny to imagine that he dislikes this movie because it is priming people to want to kill, to want to do like the Charlie Kirk murder a second time. He thinks Paul Thomas Anderson is trying to kill him with this movie. Right, probably not that, but I mean, maybe. I don't know, Ben. If you don't believe it, maybe you should check. Maybe Paul Thomas Anderson is trying to kill you. I don't know. You should ask him.
Basically, create ideologies. These ideologies are bad because they can
create This movie didn't create an ideology. This isn't. This movie has an ideology, but that isn't one it invented. You know, Alright.
three components. One, a conspiratorial view of the universe, in which a shadowy cabal of powerful people are responsible for your problems in life and the problems of the world. Two, a belief that your specific group is being targeted. And three, a belief that violence is justified in self-defense. That's this entire film. This entire film is that. There's a conspiratorial group of white Christians.
That's... Alright, man. I've already discussed why that's, it's not the main point of the movie. But okay.
People of color. Those people of color have to band together along with a few moron fellow travelers like Bob in order to take on that conspiracy, and they should bomb things, and they should kill people, and they should do terrible things, and say radical things while doing it. I'm in search of subtlety here. I do not understand, honest to God, I do not understand the attempts by some to say that this is a subtle movie in any way.
Yeah, you're in search of subtlety, certainly, but you can't find it because... either because you don't want to, because you want to create a YouTube video about it, or because you are just genuinely that stupid. And I think it's the first one, really. I think that Ben Shapiro is very cynically trying to stir up something about this movie. Which I like, and again, I'm not saying that, this is actually a movie that's not political at all. Because I don't, as long as, movies are being made by humans at Earth, they're gonna, a little bit of politics are gonna be in there. And certainly with this movie, it was intentional. And it is saying that, banding together in a community to fight against the people who are in some way out to get you is a noble cause, right? But again, this movie is mostly about the characters within it, right? It's not like, what's it called, Lady Ballers? That was your movie, Ben, where it was his movie on trans athletes, and that was the entire point of the movie. Maybe that's the only way that you can view something is just solely as a way to have a political message. But actually, in reality, Ben, there's more to it than that. Something can have a political message and then can also set out to tell a good story with characters and have, the second thing be their main goal.
the subtlety of a
No wonder you failed at becoming a screenwriter. You don't know how art is made. You don't know how movies work.
There have been some people at the Washington Post, for example, in the Washington Post entertainment section, who try to draw a different moral from this. One writer, for example, says, quote, "One battle after another shifts the paranoid nightmare of Nixon-era political extremism to our current powder keg moment in a way that helps us process it. Yes, it could get that bad again, and this is what it would look like. In its most outrageous plot point, a kinky affair between opposite camp radicals, Anderson brings the horseshoe theory of politics to life. Of course, the wackiest right-winger and the looniest leftist fall into bed with each other. Who else could match their violent intensity?"
I don't really think that that's the article he's reading is describing the movie correctly either. I don't think this movie is about horseshoe theory. I think that's an inaccurate description.
Anderson also offers us hope, though, in the calm at the center. The sweet relationship between the chilled-out dad who has lost his political fervor and the teenage daughter who is finding her own capable way. Yeah, except that at the very end, you might think that's where it's going. That's not where it goes. At the very end, it takes a hard left and goes directly into she should be a radical, just like Mommy was. And so,
I don't think she's learning from her mother. She's not going to make this. She's her own person, right? And while she is being a revolutionary, she's learning from some of the mistakes her mom made, right? Though I guess for Ben's view, her mom's main mistake is not joining the dailywire.com and making YouTube videos about trans athletes. And since the daughter is also making that mistake, then, I mean, she's really not learning from anything. I would figure that that's Ben's view on this, and everything else that is secondary to that.
Again, all these writers are trying to find something there that isn't there, or they are softly justifying all of this. Well, one writer named Hey Bennett Kaladi says in the Washington Post, it's about hope. One of the last characters we hear from is Perfidia. Reading from a letter she wrote in exile to her daughter Willa, she asks, "Will you try to change the world like I did?" before adding, "We failed, but maybe you will not." Right, that's the line. Maybe you should be a revolutionary. And in the very last scene, a revolutionary daughter is following in her mother's sacrificial footsteps despite everything we've been seeing in the past 3 hours. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, again, you can make excuses for it, but basically the thing's an apologia for radical left-wing terrorism. That's what
Okay. Alright, man. You can't see me right now, because there's no cam, but I was actually physically, pinching my fucking nose while he said that, the top thing. And this is an incredibly annoying video. I can see why the comments are all like, I clicked on this, what is this, rage bait. Yeah, this is me rage baiting myself, essentially. Looking at this guy's smug face. This movie is actually, this movie, this is an excuse is trying to do apologia for radical leftist terrorism. It's trying to tell a story, and it's trying to talk about, can't fucking this is awful.
And any attempts to paint it as more complex than that, I think are overdoing it. Alrighty, so there is your review of one.
There's no complexity in this movie. Don't try to paint any narrative that's even a little bit complex. Don't try to act like the movie is pointing out flaws within people who are doing revolutionary action, while also saying that it is noble to try to resist against the people who want to harm you, and at the same time trying to illustrate who these characters are. There's nothing complex in the movie, nothing like that. There's nothing interesting going on. This movie is solely talking about how we should kill Ben Shapiro, I guess. For like the YouTube censors, I'm not saying. I don't take me saying kill Ben Shapiro out of context.
One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson. Again, Leonardo DiCaprio is good in it. He's a good actor. Benicio del Toro, fine. Tiana Taylor is Perfidia. She's a talented actress. It's all fine, except for Sean Penn as Lockjaw, who kind of stinks. But
you're fucking insane. Oh, that's the worst thing he said in this video so far. What are you talking about? Sean Penn did a bad job as Lockjaw. You're a fucking insane man. He's the best performance in the movie. He's so good. He perfectly sells like this weird demon man, dude. Sean Penn sucks at acting. What are you talking? Sean Penn is actually very bad at acting, and how I know this is because I'm gay. You know, God, he is rage baiting.
Just a bad movie all around, like Shape of Water style bad movie. It's
A bad movie all around, except for the directing, the cinematography, the score, the climax. These are all things that Ben himself said he liked about the movie. But it's a bad movie all around. Okay? I mean, it's a bad movie all around, except for most of the movie, which I liked. But I need to pretend I'm super mad to make a YouTube video about it.
surprising for Paul Thomas Anderson, who's sort of stayed away from the overtly political for a while. And again, I really like some of Paul Thomas Anderson.
He stayed away from politics. I mean, There Will Be Blood is a movie about a fucking evil oil businessman who's so hyper-competitive that he's driven away from everyone in his life, including his son, and becomes this insane monster of a person who likes no one and no one likes, and lives in a big, extravagant house, and no one loves him and he loves no one, and that's the rest of his life. And do you think that movie is trying to say anything politically? No? Okay.
Anderson's movies. I think that There Will Be Blood is a terrific film, even though, again, I think the politics tends toward the left. It's very anti-religion and also anti-capitalism.
Oh, okay. So he is willing to acknowledge it. Okay. Okay, then maybe I just should have listened more. But he is, in a sense, contradicting him, because he himself admits that Paul Thomas Anderson is willing to go towards politics. Because in probably his most famous movie, he does. So how can you characterize Paul Thomas Anderson as someone who doesn't go towards politics when, like, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie goes into politics? How? It feels kind of contradictory, doesn't it, Ben? Ben?
And I think The Master is really maybe the best movie, which is about the power of sort of cults and the draw of cults. But this is it's just bad. It's not good. Will this win Academy Awards? It'll win all the Academy Awards because this is what Hollywood wants: left-wing agitprop from high-powered directors.
I don't really think Hollywood is itching to have like uber left-wing movies. I think that they kind of want. One, I don't think they really have a huge political agenda. I think they want money, and two, I think they prefer to have more like tepid, toothless liberal movies than radical left, which I don't even think that this movie was radical left. But I guess in Ben Shapiro's mind, it's all the same, and that means that he has to hate a movie that deep down it seems like he at least somewhat liked. Anyway, The Daily Wire. This video was awesome, dude. Conclusions. I remember that one Twitter post that Ben Shapiro made about Columbus Day. He's like, I went up to my daughter. No, my daughter went up to me, and she was like, Ben, or Dad. My daughter calls me, Dad, do you know what day it is? And then I asked her, what day is it? And then she said, Columbus Day. And then he writes in the tweet, then my daughter went to my wife's bedroom. What else is there to say?